horror fans, once again, it is me, the Horror Miser Monty G. It's time to do a movie review, and finally, it's the New Mutants! Yes! Yay! Took them long enough to finally get this movie released. Now, The New Mutants is a 2020 superhero horror film. It was directed by Josh Boone, and he also wrote it along with his partner, Nate Lee, based on the Marvel Comics book of the same name. Now, this film stars Maurice Williams, Anna Taylor-Joy, Charlie Heaton, Blue Hunt, Henry Zaga, and Alice Braga. Now, the plot, very simple. 5 young mutants just discovering their abilities while held in a secret facility against their will, fight to escape their sins and save themselves. Very simple plot. So, after plenty of reshoots and delays, mainly due to COVID-19, we are finally seeing the final film of Fox's X-film series, The New Mutants. Took them long enough, but we're finally seeing it. Now, just to give a little backstory, based upon the Marvel Comics of the same name created by Chris Claremont and Bob McLean in 1982, the New Mutants were a mutants in training superhero team. Now, they had adventures, and also they fought other evil mutants like the X-Men did, but the comics also explored teen angst, romance, peer pressure, and other conflicts. It was kind of like Marvel's versions of DC's Teen Titans. Now, director Josh Boone, known from The Fault in Our Stars, who co-wrote the screenplay with his partner Nate Lee, brings us a superhero film with horror elements in, but it is marketed as a horror film. Interesting. Now, the film was scheduled to be released sometime in April of 2018, but with Disney's planned acquisition, 20th Century Fox Films Productions, and with reshoots, the film was pushed back. They said, no, we're going to push the film back. We got some reshoots we want to do, and we also need to push the film back because we were trying to wait to see what was Disney's plan of acquisition 20th Century Fox Film Production was going to take, how long it was going to take, and how it was going to get it approved. Then, of course, came coronavirus, COVID-19, which pushed the release date back even further. Finally, the film was released in theaters on August 28th. So, after all the delays and reshoots, is the film worth the wait? Does it make up for the failure that that X-Men Dark Phoenix was? Well, yes and no. Now, after a nice cold opening, we're introduced to Danielle Moonstar, who wakes up in a secure facility. She is told by Dr. Cecilia Reyes, played by veteran actress Alice Braga, that she is the sole survivor of a tornado that killed her father and all her people. Interesting. We later find out that she is a mutant, and she meets Rain Sinclair, Ileana Rasputin, Sam Gertrude, and Bobby DaCosta. We all learn that they're all mutants. And Dr. Reyes explained that she and her employers are here to help the young mutants learn their powers and to control them, trying to protect themselves from society and themselves. However, as the story progresses, the young mutants learn that Dr. Reyes and her employers have ulterior motives for them and what they want to use them for. Ooh, bad people. Yes, very bad people. Now, as the film progresses, you can see why Boone and the filmmaker decided to go with a horror story with these characters. It's mainly because of Danny's power, creating real-life sounding illusions of your greatest fears or nightmares plays perfect with the horror genre. Sort of like with Freddy without you falling asleep. Now, you're at the setting. It's an isolated facility in the middle of nowhere with its dark and dingy hallways, the dark timeout rooms, and there's no escape because it's all blocked by an invisible force field. Now, we learn about that later. It plays right into things we've seen in other horror movies. I mean, you have that spooky setting, like the spooky haunted house, or any other type of isolation, and it's dark, it's dingy, it's creepy looking. All that plays into a horror setting, and I believe that's the reason why they decided to go this route with this type of movie. Now, Boone does a good job of setting up the characters and their backstories. Now, he sticks with the source material as well, too. Rain is a werewolf. Now, she can transform at any time, not just during the full moon. Sam can blast as fast as a jet, but he has problems landing. Bobby can absorb solar power and channel it with various effects. And Ileana is a sorceress who can teleport to her limbo dimension to other places on Earth, similar to Nightcrawler's powers. The horror elements come into play when their fears or nightmares are revealed, thanks to Danny's powers. Now, unlike Freddy, the kids don't have to be asleep when the nightmares happen, and Boone tries his best to make the nightmares the kids are seeing frightening, especially with Ileana. There are some nice scenes with Sam as he experiences his nightmares in the mines with his family. There's another nice scene with Roberto. All the nightmares are kind of dark and creepy looking, and that's what Boone tries to do to make these nightmares that the kids are experiencing creepy and frightening. Now, Boone tries his best with character development, being that this is the first film of a planned trilogy, which happens during the first half of the film. Now, again, he sticks close to the source material, though he does make some changes, especially with Dana and Rain. We do get some nice bonding scene with the kids. I like the antagonistic back and forth between Ileana and Dana. You would expect that between a girl that Ileana is and a girl that Dana is, so I like that kind of back and forth that they have during the part of the film. However, it seems that the ladies grow more than the men do. It could be due to the rewrites or the reshoots, but Bobby and Sam don't seem to grow that much as the ladies do. No, I love the chemistry that Blue Hunt and Manice Williams have as Danny and Rain. Both actresses show the pain the characters are suffering from, and they bond over that. And of course, no one should be surprised which relationship is going to. I'm pretty sure a lot of people might not like it, but come on, it's 21st century. These type of relationships are going to happen now, no matter how irresponsible you may be. Now, it's no surprise that Anna Taylor-Joy steals the show as Ileana. She plays her as a tough, rebellious, and confident teenage girl. However, later on, we learn that that's a front, a way for her to forget the horror she faced as a little girl. We learn more about her backstory. She's also the kick-ass person of the team. Now, Charlie Heaton from Stranger Things and Henry Zaga are okay as Sam and Bobby, but as I stated earlier, the script doesn't give them much character growth. Yeah, you can see some of the things that Sam is suffering from because he feels the survivor's guilt that what happened in the mine with him and his father, and we can see that pain on him. But that's all we see of him. We don't know anything more about him. And the same thing with Bobby. There's no growth in their characters other than the pain that they're suffering from the tragedies and the nightmares that they're seeing thanks to Danny, but that's all they see about these two. They don't have the type of growth that the ladies have in this particular film. As for Alice Braga, she doesn't provide that much of a threat as the villain in the movie. Dr. Reyes is more like a principal. She's there to discipline the kids when they misbehave and generate force fields when they use their powers against each other. I mean, that's all she's there for. It looks like she was just there to collect a paycheck, to be honest. Now, as a horror film, Boone doesn't rely on cheap jump scares or horror cliches. He does use creepy imagery with the nightmares, especially with the smiling men. Just to reference a point, I'm pretty sure people might recognize them. They kind of look like the gentlemen from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And also, it's obviously that the writers, or even Boone or his writing partner Lee, must be fans of Buffy, because if you've seen the film, you know what I'm talking about. However, there's really no tension and no suspense in this film, and there's really nothing scary about this film, other than just the creepy imagery they use for the nightmares that the kids are seeing. Now, it's obviously Boone and the filmmakers were more concerned about developing the characters than using CGI or practical effects, as we barely see the kids use their powers, and when they do, it's only for a limited time. Like when Sam blasts, we only see that at the beginning of the film, but that's practically the only time we see him. When Bobby powers up, we barely see that for a few moments, and it's not like he's in the comics. He looks more like the Human Torch from, I would say, even from Fantastic. And it's just a limited budget that they use because they were more interested in developing the characters than showing them to use their powers. Now, only Ileana gets to use her powers most of the film, and that's okay. She does have a nice fight scene with the demon pair, and I love Lockheed's presence in the film. Speaking of the demon bear, he does present a frightening presence, especially for Danny, and I like the look the filmmakers give him. But again, due to the $60 million budget that they use, which is kind of minuscule for a superhero film, we barely see him, and the final confrontation with him is rather lackluster at best. I expected a little bit more, but what are you going to do? Now, I'm sure no one was expecting Avengers Endgame, X-Men First Class, or X2 when it comes to the X-Men film series or anything involving the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But this film does make up for the disaster that Dark Phoenix was. Now, while it doesn't add anything more to the horror genre, and it's certainly not the best film in the X-Men film series, but it's way better than the X-Men Last Stand and Dark Phoenix if I were to rank this film with others in the series. Since this is marketed as a horror film, so I'm going to give the New Mutants 2.5 out of my 5 bloody gold coins. Yes, I'm going to give it 2.5 out of my 5 bloody gold coins. It was an interesting concept that they have. I'm pretty sure the delays and the reshoots and the delays probably cost whatever type of story that you really wanted to tell. And again, because of the lackluster ending and the lack of character development between Bobby and Sam, kind of drove the film down a bit for me. I would say so, because of their lack of character development. But overall, I did enjoy the film. I liked the concept that they were trying to do with the kids. I liked the idea of using a horror element with Danny's nightmares. But if the script was more defined, I believe this would have been a better story if they had a bigger budget, which I'll explain later on. Now, the one good thing I'll say about this film is that it does stay faithful to the source material, and fans of the comics will love it when Dr. Reyes' employers are mentioned in the movie. Now, as the last film in the X-Men film series, this was supposed to be the first of a planned trilogy. Now, from what I understand, Boone said they had some interesting ideas of where they wanted to go after this one. And while this film was okay at best, it would have been interesting to see what they would have accomplished with a bigger budget and a more refined script. Another thing I'll say is that for people who have not read the comics, I don't think you'll be lost in understanding these characters. Most of the characters in this film are how they are actually displayed in the comics. Like I said, there was a couple minor changes with Rain and Danny's character, and that the romance that develops between those two, which I didn't mind because both actresses did a good job in portraying those characters. I just wish they had a bigger budget and a more refined script. I think this would have been a much better movie. But again, from what I hear, a lot of people are criticizing this movie. They're saying it's the worst of the X-Men film series. As for me, and I'm concerned, this was way better than X-Men Last Stand. It's way better than Dark Phoenix. And to be honest, I actually like this better than X-Men Apocalypse. Yeah, but that's just me. So there you have it, my guys. That is my review of the New Mutants. I hope you did enjoy it. And if you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you have seen the New Mutants, what do you think about it? Do you think this was in a way an improvement of X-Men Dark Phoenix, or do you think this was just a horrible waste of time and they shouldn't even done with this movie? Leave your comments down in the comments below and tell me what you thought about the New Mutants. Also, if this is your first time here, please hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell. That way you'll be notified anytime when I put up new videos such as this one. Also, on my social media links will be in the description box below as well. Once again, my name is Lamont Smith, better known as the Horror Miser Monty G, and always remember, horror rules. I'll see you in my next video. I'm out.